everyone, it's Dr. Rick, founder of Herbal411.com. I've been away for the month of April. It's Easter, and in Catholic tradition, there's a resurrection of Jesus, and it gives me time to reflect, find my spiritual grounding again, just be appreciative of everything that has come into my life. So I'll be back in May, but I wanted to do a couple of videos. This is one. I'll be doing one on cold immersion, and then I'll probably do another one in about a week or so. But coming in May, we're going to be really pushing forward with some cool stuff, hacks to get you healthy. So if you're not a subscriber, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And if you like this video, then please share it and give me a thumbs up. Along with the theme of trying to find my spiritual grounding comes giving you guys an easier approach to getting spirituality in your life. You don't have to have a religion, you don't have to be Catholic, but I think it's really important to balance out invisible stressors that we all go through. And I will often ask people, what's your way that you de-stress? And the typical answer from my guys especially is, I'm not stressed. But then I check their blood pressure, I check their inflammatory markers, I check their weight, I check their eating cycle or their sleep cycle on their watch, and everything points towards non-neutralized stress. So let me try to explain that. We all have something called an autonomic system, whether you're young, old, or even if you're a more primitive animal species. And the autonomic system is supposed to give you fight or flight, the stress response, or rest and digest, the parasympathetic response. And there's supposed to be a balance between the two. But unfortunately, sometimes with infection, with predators, with threats to life, you'll have to turn on the stress response. It's kind of backwards now, so you'll have these mini stress responses all day long. Now, some of you will have big stress responses, those of you who are abused, those of you who are going through a lot of anguish. That's not the way life is supposed to be, so I'm praying for you, and hopefully you'll find a way out of this. The idea is having a spiritual practice. And if you can turn on the parasympathetic response twice a day, I think that's a good practice. Just like if you can exercise to get your muscles toned, to have better ways to take care of glucose, cholesterol, blood pressure lowering. You do all that stuff with exercise. A lot of people will say, I do breathing exercises, and I admire that. That's kind of entry level. So I call it grade school. And what I want is for my patients to be Olympic level athletes, not grade school athletes. So it is a beginning. So I'm going to show you another alternative to 478. The 478 video that I put out has been very successful since I launched this YouTube channel. And it was me taking a video of my teacher, Andy Weil. And I've always reflected to do that as my default, especially when I wake up in the middle of the night, can't get back to sleep, or during times of stress. When I find my blood pressure is a little high, I'll do 4-7-8 breathing. But I'll offer that to my patients, but a lot of patients won't remember. Is it 4-7? And they'll just tell me that, yeah, I do that 7-8 breathing that you taught me. And if they can't even remember the number, then the likelihood is that they're not doing it. So I'm going to give you something really easy called box breathing. And I want to demonstrate box breathing is super easy. It's just essentially remembering what a box looks like and using the top half of the box for your inhale, the lower half of the box for your exhale, and the sides of the box for holding the breath peacefully. I always do it to a count of 5 because I have 5 fingers and it's easy for me to remember. But I'm going to show you as a demo what I would usually do. The way you want to do it, and I'm just standing so you can see me, but the way you want to do it is in a peaceful seated posture, maybe with some quiet. We want you, until you're really good, like college level, I want you to just be able to practice this maybe 5 minutes twice a day, beginning of the day and at the end of the day. If you accomplish it, then cool, dopamine hit. If you don't, then you can only make it through 2.5 minutes. That's fine too. But the idea is begin. And if you begin it and you are able to sustain it, I just make it 30 days straight. That's a whole month. Then dopamine hit, accomplished. And then maybe the next month you can do 6 minutes. I believe Deepak Chopra said he meditates 3 hours a day. I don't know how he does that. Well, I do know he does that, but I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. I'm not that good yet. I'm a beginner too. I think I'm D1 level. So I still have a lot of learning. I'm still fine-tuning it, but at least I do it. And I think that's how I am able to stay in the game. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I don't have any, knock on wood, I don't have any medical diseases that come my way, but I think you have to eventually deploy your own breath or mindful practice or spiritual practice or worship, whatever it is. So I'm going to use my fingers to do the count, and I'll do 5 counts each side of the box. So we'll first start with exhaling. I'm going to do a couple of rounds. I'll exhale first. Top of the box. So that's kind of it. And it's easy. And I had to actually look at my fingers because I sometimes forget, especially during the inhale. In the beginning, I would always take everything in at once and I'd be like, oh, I already inhaled and there's nothing left. Or in the exhale, I would exhale everything really fast and then there's nothing else to do. So I think the idea is that you control the rate of inhale or exhale by doing it to a count. And if you do it to a count and you visualize a count, and then you hold it peacefully, not like you're trying to blow a water bottle up, but you hold it peacefully and you hold that count. Again, equal sides, the box will serve you. Here's why it's important. Just with me doing this and doing the breath and coordinating and trying to get my stomach out, that's the true way to take a breath, is to push the diaphragm out. In my first couple of rounds, I forgot that. And if you noticed, you can rewind this, but if you noticed, my last 2 rounds or 3 rounds, I tried to expand my abdomen as best as I could. So that's important. And I think that breathing in through the nose and then exhaling through the mouth is also, it has its benefits as far as carbon dioxide and oxygen. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I think it does make a difference when you inhale through the nose. There's a parasympathetic response. The holding of the breath also is a parasympathetic response. It slows down the vagus nerve. That's one of the cranial nerves that starts in the brain, goes down here and goes all the way down into the anus. But it innervates, it's a cranial nerve that innervates every system: cardiac system, digestive system, neuromuscular system, urogenital system. It innervates every system. So if you can learn to control that vagus nerve, instead of having the vagus nerve turn on and control you. Our medicine used to think that the mind would come up with some ideas, it would send messages to the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve would turn on the heart to beat fast or to digest. But it has been found that it goes both ways. So if you get a cramp, especially those of you who have had abdominal surgery or PTSD from something in the abdomen, you pooped in your pants in front of a class giving a speech. That's kind of weird, but that's PTSD. And every time you poop or every time you have a cramp, it would send a message up to the brain, I'm going to give a speech. And then it would turn on the alarm system called the amygdala. The amygdala is this little almond-shaped structure in the brain that it is the alarm. So when it's triggered, it bypasses all the coping skills and all the rationalization that you know, and it just turns on fast heart rate, fast respiratory rate, high blood pressure, focus is different, and it's just looking for a way out. That's what the amygdala does. Now, those of you who have been through PTSD, those of you who have anxiety, those of you who have just heightened response, you can't sleep because you're always listening for stuff. That usually means you have a little bit more of a amygdala that fires off too much. And if that's the case, that's fair. Your behavior might affect other people, definitely will affect you in the form of blood pressure, sticky cholesterol, elevated glucose levels, yes. When you're stressed out, your glucose goes up. I had a Libre, and I got really angry and stressed during one conversation a long time ago, and my glucose shot up to 170, and that's near diabetes level. Now, it's never reached that before, but That's because the liver and the muscles wanted to get a lot of fuel out in case I had to truly run from danger, because the amygdala was giving false information. It was an argument that I was getting into, but either way, the suggestion is this kind of control of your breath is free. It's easy to do. It does take a little bit of coordination and timing, but if you understand the physiology of what happens, you can get it to serve you. And whether you do 4-7-8 breathing, whether you do box breathing, whether you do mantras, one of the reasons I started doing the box breathing is because I started with cold immersions last month. And man, dumping or sitting in ice when it's cold outside and snowing is a shock to the system. And my 4-7-8 breathing, I couldn't remember the numbers. So I had to do something easier, and I just remembered box breathing because I watched Andrew Huberman talk about it one day. So if you don't know Andrew Huberman, he's a neurobiologist out of Stanford. Awesome guy. If you wanted to hack your way into a healthy lifestyle and longevity, watch him. I'll put a link down below. Again, the idea is to initiate your own type of mindful practice. This is one way, and I like when I go like this and use my fingers and my eyeballs go back and forth, and I can coordinate with my breath, and you can deploy at any time. If you have to give a speech, if you are on a bumpy flight, if you are going down a dark alley, whatever it is, if you're about to ask your love of your life for a hand in marriage, this will help calm down that sympathetic response and turn it from fight or flight to rest and digest. Now, you're not going to go resting and fall asleep. You'll just take the steps that you're entering into with great ease, and you'll be able to problem solve with the front brain, not the reptilian amygdala. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea. If you have any ways that you do breath exercise to control your stress response, please put them in the comment section down below. If you know anybody else that's super stressed out, or if you know anybody that goes to a psychologist and they haven't come up with any techniques, whether it's EMDR, breath exercise, mindful awareness, walking meditation. I used to do mantras all the time that I learned at the Chopra Center, but I've gone back in my last couple of years to my religion that I was brought up with. My parents raised me as Catholic. I always hated doing the rosary, but now it's my go-to. I appreciate you watching up until this point in time. Give it a try, 30 days, 5 minutes, twice a day, the beginning of the day when you first put your feet on the floor, and at the end of the day as your head hits the pillow. I guarantee you'll like it. Thanks for watching.